What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a brand new NFL video. We're going to be going over the best player on every single NFL team going into next season. Every season NFL rosters change, meaning that a bunch of different players go a bunch of different places. Let's just get straight into it with our first team, the Denver Broncos. And this is another no-brainer. This is our first no-brainer. It's going to be Patrick Surtain II, PS2. He is the best corner in the league. He is the reigning defensive player of the year. And although this roster is very talented, acquiring a lot of talent this past year, he just still stands out as the by far best player, as he is one of the best players in the league, period. Our next team is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is another pretty big no-brainer here, is we're going to go with Max Crosby, one of the best edge rushers in the league. Honestly, he has been the Raiders' saving grace for the past few years, and he's going to continue to be their best player on defense. Although he had a little bit of a down year, he still reigns supreme as their best player and just an automatic beast that any offensive lineman fears. Our next team is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult, as we now have the Atlanta Falcons. This is a team that we could have gone a bunch of different people. My personal choice here was Chris Lindstrom, as he is one of the best guards in the entirety of the NFL. He is really just a great guard who has supported some very interesting quarterbacks. Some other players that I was debating between here were Jesse Bates, Bijan Robinson, and Drake London. But overall, I think that Chris Lindstrom positionally is the best player, as he is a top 3 to 5 guard in the NFL as it stands. Our next team is going to be the New England Patriots, and this is another one that was a pretty easy choice for me, as I'm going to go with Christian Gonzalez. He is a top 5 corner in the league by far, maybe even top 3. He's in my top 3. And honestly, he's just a player that's been overshadowed because he has been on one of the consistently worst rosters in the league since he has been drafted a couple of years ago. But he is a destructive force. Although he has a little bit of health problems by anybody else on this team, I think he stands out by far the most. Honestly, like I said before, they don't have the most talent in the NFL, but he still stands to be one of the most talented players in the league. Our next team is the Chicago Bears, and once again, I think this is a relatively easy choice, as this is going to be Jalen Johnson, cornerback. He's one of the best corners in the league by far. I think he's very underrated, as a lot of people don't even have them in their top 10s just because he isn't the greatest name, because he's not on the greatest team, just like Christian Gonzalez, who we just talked about. But Jalen Johnson, whenever he's playing, you can definitely feel his appearance. He's a good run stopper, incredible pass stopper, and he's honestly just been a leader to that Chicago defense that has struggled as of years of late. And he has really led for people like Tyreek Stevenson to be able to pop out on the other side of him. Our next team is going to be the Washington Commanders, and honestly, I'm shocking myself a little bit with this one, as I'm not going to choose the rookie sensation in Jaden Daniels. I'm instead going to go ahead and say that Terry McLaurin is their best player. He was a standout receiver, their standout target one for the entirety of this season, and honestly, their past seasons since he's been drafted. He's been an absolute dog every year, despite having the most inconsistent quarterback play, and he finally gets the recognition that he has deserved for so long after now having a good quarterback. Next year, it might be Jaden Daniels, and there's also uncertainty about Terry McLaurin's future with the Commanders, but as long as he stays around for the beginning of the season, I think it's definitely going to be him. But next year, it might be Jaden, depending on how these players play. Our next team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is another one where I just like to show my appreciation for the big men up front. In this case, it is going to be Tristan Wirfs. Now, this is another one where they have a lot of very talented players here, but I'm just going to choose the one who has the best positional value. Tristan Wirfs is one of the best tackles in the entirety of the NFL, right and left combined. They just moved him from side to side, and he played great, meaning he could play great at any side. He's been dealing with the hardest of the hardest to play against, and he has been beating them most times. He's become quickly one of the best players, even though he is very, very young, and he consistently is one of the top 3 tackles in the entirety of the NFL. Our next team is going to be the New York Giants, and this is another one where it was just easy. As soon as I looked at the depth chart, I knew who it was going to be. This is going to be Dexter Lawrence. This guy is one of the greatest defensive linemen that I've seen play in the NFL as of these last 2 years. He is a destructive force. You know you're good when you have a whole dance named after you. Last Giant that I knew that had something named after him was Odell Beckham Jr. That's right, I'm bringing up Odell Beckham Jr. type stuff. He is honestly the most destructive player on the defensive line out of anybody in New York currently, and it's just ridiculous. He would have been so much better this year if he didn't get hurt, but I just can't wait to see him perform next year with Abdul Carter on the other side of him, as well as Brian Burns continually rushing, and so is Kayvon Thibodeau. This defensive line is going to be great, and it's headed by possibly the best defensive tackle in all of football right now, Dexter Lawrence. Our next team here is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers, and this was another one that it was a really tight race between two people, but outside of that, it was kind of clear. And at this point, I'm going to go with Derwin James. This guy is very possibly the best safety in all of football, competing with people like Kyle Hamilton. This man is one of the most terrifying safeties I've ever seen play. Look, I've only been a fan of the NFL for a few years, but he is genuinely terrifying to think about. You can think about anybody else that's suplexed Travis Kelce, a prime Travis Kelce. It's only been Derwin. He hits harder than almost anybody in the league, and he's only a safety. His downhill hits are destructive, and he has been the leader of this defense for a few years now. Our next team is the Kansas City Chiefs, and as much as it pains me to say it, I really want to go with Chris Jones or Trent McDuffie, but I have to go with possibly the best quarterback in the NFL, according to a lot of people that I've heard, Patrick Mahomes. He genuinely is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the sport, and yes, he had a little bit of an off year this past year, but that hasn't stopped him from being a top 4 quarterback. For me, he's my 3rd best quarterback behind Jackson and Allen, but he just makes any play a good play. He's the definition of an improviser quarterback, whereas if his offensive line just disintegrates, he will still find a way to get the first down. The way that he can scramble in the pocket is just unbelievable, especially with the fact that he's already almost about to be 30. He still has so many years left to destroy the league. Our next player was a very tough choice with the Dallas Cowboys, as I really wanted to go with CeeDee Lamb, but in the end, I decided to just sit down and choose Micah Parsons. He's one of the greatest defensive players in the NFL. And he's just been a gigantic prospect. As soon as he was drafted out of Penn State, everybody wanted him. Only the Cowboys were able to get him. And he has just been a destructive force ever since. He is one of the greatest athletes in the entirety of the NFL. And yes, he is extremely cocky, but he is one of those players who's cocky and has so much to back up for it. When you're going to be put over CeeDee Lamb in an offensive heavy league like this, with a wide receiver heavy league like this, I think that's showing a lot of praise as a defensive player. At that point, even just a linebacker. Our next team is the New York Jets, and this is another team that I was very much torn between. I wanted to go with Sauce Gardner, but he had a bit of a sophomore slump. Garrett Wilson is great, but I don't think he has that extra step. So I'm going to go with Quinnen Williams. And as he did have a little bit of a down year this year, he is still one of the greatest D tackles in the entirety of the NFL. When I was talking about how the defensive lines in New York were disgusting earlier, when I was talking about the Giants and Dexter Lawrence, Quinnen Williams is the first guy to come to mind. He is one of the most destructive players in the pocket. He's getting double teamed so often that they don't even have great stats for him. That is the point of being a D tackle. He takes up so much attention and allows for his edge rushers to do the deal. And he's another player that just gets snubbed a little bit because he's on a horrible team, the New York Jets. But I think that this year he's going to have another incredible season, and he's just going to disrupt every quarterback. Our next team is going to be the Miami Dolphins, and this is actually the first team in which we are seeing a new player here, as I'm going to go with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who they just traded back for. Could I have used some old Minkah footage here? Absolutely, but I'm not going to. I just want to show his last season highlights. This was a tough one, as last year nobody on the Dolphins really lived up to any of their hype. And honestly, I originally did a segment of this where I had Tyreek Hill chosen, but when I was thinking about Minkah Fitzpatrick, he just stands out as one of the greatest safeties in the league right now. And I think that his move to Miami is going to help their secondary a good amount, even though they got rid of Jalen Ramsey. But I think that he's going to have a massive season. I think he's going to have some good interceptions, some good TFLs. And he just needs to take that step forward that he might have lost these last few seasons. We're going to keep with the Steelers highlights as I go here to TJ Watt. The Steelers are a roster that is very questionable right now. A lot of these guys are very hit or miss. And I wouldn't even be shocked if TJ Watt isn't even on the roster by the time that the season starts. So we got to make this quick. TJ Watt is honestly one of the best defensive edges, linebackers, whatever you want to call him, in the entirety of the NFL. He's been dominant his entire career, and he just stands there with Myles Garrett as two of the best standout players in the league at that position, as the two best standout players at that position in the league. And he looks like he's going to be doing it for many more years. He is aging, but he is not slowing down. Our next team is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, and honestly, This team is such a mess that I am actually going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. Typically in these, I'm not loving doing a lot of these guys that have only had 1 year and we haven't seen that much from them, but Brian Thomas Jr. has broken out as a possibly top 10 receiver in the league, whereas they have nobody else who really performed that great last year. Of course, they had a few injuries. Josh Hines-Allen really fell off a cliff. Foyesade Oluokun was really mid. All their players just never lived up to their hype. So I'm just going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. here. He was top 5 in catches, or he was top 5 in receiving yards, even as just a rookie. And I think that is going to continue to be the case, as he will grow into a top 10 wide receiver in the next 5 years, I believe. And I hope that he does, as Jacksonville needs something from having their team collapse into the dirt. Speaking of horrible wreck messes, now we have the Carolina Panthers, in which I am going to choose Derek Brown. I really think that he is one of the more underrated defensive players in the league, one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the league, as he can just destroy anybody on the field. And he was hurt for the majority of last season. Even with that, I think he still reigns supreme as their best player. It could be somebody like J.C. Horn this next year. It could be somebody if Bryce Young steps up or something like that. But other than that, I think that he just is disgusting. He destroys offensive linemen, and he really does allow for some of these other guys off the edge to blitz. That's why Brian Burns was really good while he was there, because Derek Brown was able to disrupt the offensive line. And I think that he's going to continue to have another great year this year. Our next team is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think that we definitely have a runaway favorite for this one, as we have their new acquiree, Saquon Barkley, who was honestly might have been the best player in the entirety of the NFL this last year. He was only a few yards away from breaking the all-time single-season record. If Jalen Hurts didn't have the tush push to his name, Saquon Barkley would have like 20 touchdowns this season. He was absolutely disgusting. He's a good receiver as well, which just really upgrades that. But he could read anybody. He could destroy anybody. Juke out, truck, stiff arm. He even reverse hurdled a man after spinning another man out and making another one miss with a juke. Nobody else has ever been able to do that. I think that we might be watching one of the best running back seasons that we will ever see, ever. And especially for the next few seasons, as the league turns major pass heavy. So I think that we just need to embrace the Eagles' Saquon Barkley, as he is their best player and one of the best players, probably the best player in the NFL. Our next team here is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. This is another one where it's just a kind of easy answer, and this answer is going to be Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And the reason I say that, although Jamar Chase exists, is because of the fact that he has done this with Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, some guys that I can't even name off the top of my head. He did with the Pastronaut. Overall, he has incredible routes. He has disgusting cuts. He can catch about any ball. He can juke out any defender. I mean, just look at his first touchdown where he made like 3 guys miss on the Titans. That really just tells you that he is a monster. He already has the most receiving yards by somebody up to his age, and I don't think that's going to stop. I think he is going to be a top 10 to 15 wide receiver in NFL history by the time it's all said and done, and that definitely makes him the best on his own team. Our next team is going to be another train wreck in the Cleveland Browns, and this is the exact same thing that I was saying with TJ Watt. We have Myles Garrett, the two people that have been fighting for Defensive Player of the Year these last couple of years. Myles Garrett has some of the freakest genetics I've ever seen. Look at look at a picture of this man from high school. He looks like an NFL player, and he is only in high school. That's ridiculous. Myles Garrett can bully any offensive lineman in the league, and I truly believe that. I don't think there's an offensive lineman who will win over half of his block attempts against Myles Garrett, because this man moves way too fast. He's way too strong. Everything that you don't want to face as a defensive or as an offensive lineman is exactly what Myles Garrett is. He is the fear that gets struck into people. And I think that is going to continue for a very long time. As long as he's in the league, I think he's going to be a destructive force, whether that's on poverty Cleveland or an actual contender like he said he wanted to go to. Our next team is going to be the Baltimore Ravens, and we have another one of the best players in the entirety of the NFL, as we have Lamar Jackson here. What Lamar Jackson did this season is literally unheard of. He had, I believe, the 4th highest passer rating for a quarterback ever in a single season this season. Along with that, he had over a 10-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He had over 5,000 total yards. He had almost 1,000 rushing yards. He had over 4,000 passing yards. Along with that, he had like Derrick Henry, who were able to support him. But his receivers were able to step up this year more than they have before. And I think that is because of him. There is no defensive lineman that can catch up to Lamar Jackson. And when he gets running, there's no way to stop him. And I believe that. There's barely any corners that are fast enough to stop him. And the way that he reads defenses is also just incredible. We will likely never see another quarterback season like this again, where the duality between running and passing is so easy to find. Our next team is the Indianapolis Colts. And this is another one where it's not much of a thought here. This is obviously, for me, going to be Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 running back in the NFL. Does he have injury problems? Absolutely. But is he able to make up for it? Absolutely. He had 1,400 yards this year in 14 games, meaning that he averaged over 100 rushing yards in every game that he played this year. His touchdown count was also good, and honestly, he hasn't stepped back from the insane rookie season that he had. Jonathan Taylor has continued, despite the injuries, to be probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. In terms of production, if he played a full season, he would likely, he would be on pace to have 1,700 rushing yards. That is absolutely disgusting. And I think he's a really underrated running back, as a lot of people forget about his production due to his team not being good, and also Anthony Richardson kind of dragging him down. But I still think that he is one of the best running backs in the league, despite the injuries. His production is too good. The Cardinals were another difficult choice for me, as I really like Budda Baker and I liked him for a very long time. But Trey McBride has submitted himself as one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He's probably a top 3 tight end in the NFL according to a lot of people's rankings. I currently have him at 3 behind Bowers and Kittle. But this guy is just one of the greatest receiving tight ends. He will catch like 95% of the balls that you throw at him. Does he catch touchdowns? No. That's the only thing holding him back. He had 2 touchdowns the entirety of the year. But if you get this man in open field, he will make you miss. He will truck you. He will juke you. He will hurdle you. And there's nothing you can do about it. I think that he's one of the most physically opposing tight ends in the league as it stands, due to his catching ability and his pure big body self. And I think that he's going to continue to emerge as one of the best tight ends in the league. My next team is the New Orleans Saints. This is a really tough one because there honestly isn't that much great talent on this roster. But I am going to go with Demario Davis. Is he extremely old, and is he starting to fade a little bit? Yes. But to be honest, it's just not enough to fade past number 1 on this team. He is still a top 15 middle linebacker in the league. And he is still destructive. He can read coverage. He can get the picks. He can do whatever he wants. He is a big boy. He has hops. And that's all you can really ask for from a player at his position. And his career has been so legendary that he has just all the experience to really put it into motion when it comes to reading players, quarterbacks and running backs alike. Our next team is the Seattle Seahawks. And I really don't know what to think about this team, as I put Devin Witherspoon as their best player. Honestly, he is one of the most physical quarterbacks in the league. He can force a fumble. He can hit stick anything out of you. He can rush. He can cover. He can do just about anything. I don't even know if he's the best corner on this team, as I've been a fan of him since college. It could be Reek Willen ahead of him. You could choose somebody on the offense, somebody as the pass rush. But I just like how he plays. He is a destructive force. He can kick the run game. He can kick the pass game. He can do just about anything and cause any disruption on any point of the field. Our next team is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is honestly not a question for me right now, as I think it is definitely Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is the second best receiver in the entirety of the NFL, and you have a very good case to put him at number 1, as he has the best stats of any wide receiver in the NFL, as he just eclipsed the Triple Crown, something that barely any receivers ever eclipsed. In fact, we haven't had one since the legendary Cooper Kupp season, which was a while ago. Jamar Chase had 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. That's 100 yards and a touchdown per game. Him and Joe Burrow have the best chemistry of any quarterback to wide receiver in the league, and it is because they were college teammates. When they unite, neither of them can be stopped, and that's why Joe Burrow almost had 5,000 passing yards this year. But honestly, I have never seen a season like Jamar Chase outside the Cooper Kupp year, but I don't even know which one's better. Probably the Cooper Kupp year. But still, Jamar Chase is by far the best receiving season this year, and he made as many big plays as you can ever imagine in a wide receiver. Our next team is the Houston Texans, and this is one where I really like my answer, as I am putting Will Anderson Jr. Will Anderson Jr. is one of the best pass rushers in the league, and he's only a second-year player. He had pretty much the opposite of a sophomore slump, as he just broke out even more this year. To break out from the skill that he already had is absolutely disgusting, as he is one of the best pass rushers in the league. I love how he plays. He is quick, he is powerful, and he can just disrupt the field in every play that he's on it. I've seen him disrupt just about every quarterback in the league, including the ones that can scramble, including the ones that can evade the pocket. I've seen him destroy as many offensive linemen as you can ask for in 2 years, and I think that he's one of the greatest futures of anybody in the NFL on the defensive line. Our next team is going to be the Buffalo Bills, and this is another easy answer here. Although their roster is pretty stacked, I am easily going to pick Josh Allen here. Josh Allen just eclipsed one of the greatest quarterback seasons of the year, and honestly one of the best of all time. Josh Allen not only got the MVP, which already puts him on this list alone, but he also had one of the greatest quarterback games of all time, where he had 3 rushing and 3 passing in the single game. Honestly, he just broke a bunch of records this year. The MVP is pretty much always going to get this award, and that's exactly what he was, the MVP. Our next team is the San Francisco 49ers. In this one, I'm going to choose Nick Bosa. Listen, he might have had a little bit of a stumped year last year, but that's not going to stop him from slamming every quarterback to the floor, to destroying every offensive lineman. Nick Bosa was one of the greatest defensive players in the NFL just a couple years ago, and he still is this year. Honestly, although he may have gotten hurt, he may have had a few different issues, he is still just unstoppable. Somebody with his build can't be stopped, and we just have to know that. He is built like a freak, just like Myles Garrett, except a little bit worse. He, without his shirt on, is just like, it's beautiful. It's a work of art, to be honest. And I don't know why I'm doing this right now. I don't know why I'm talking about Nick Bosa like this, but just know that he, on a stacked roster of 49ers, is the one that came out victorious in my mind. Our next player is going to be from the Tennessee Titans, and it is going to be Jeffrey Simmons. I've honestly been a big fan of Jeffrey Simmons for a while. I love how he's built. He plays very fierce. And honestly, it's not saying much to be the best player on the Titans, as the Titans are pretty much one of the worst, probably going to be the worst again, teams in the league. Just due to the fact that their roster is so depleted. They have a few really standout guys that should be good, and Jeffrey Simmons is definitely one of them. He's a destructive force, and I guess I like my defensive linemen today because I've seen this man run over too many of them to not be on this list. Our next team is going to be the Green Bay Packers, and for them, I am going to choose Josh Jacobs, although this one was extremely close. The only thing is that his first year on the Packers was just unbelievable. Over 1,400 rushing yards, over 10 rushing touchdowns. He had some receiving yards. He had some receiving touchdowns. He was really just an unstoppable force this year. And honestly, he was back to a little bit of that prime season that we had a couple years ago with him in Las Vegas. He just looked unstoppable. Every snap that he played was going for yards after yards after yards. And he had a decent offensive line, but I wouldn't call it top 5 in the NFL by any means or words. He just made every play a big play, and he was honestly up there for some of the biggest play contenders of any running back this year. Our next team is going to be the Detroit Lions, and honestly, it is hard to pick somebody from this absolutely unbelievable roster. But who I think I'm going to choose is going to be Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson has been, this year, he got hurt very early on, and when he was playing, he was the best defensive pass rusher I have ever seen. He had, let me look up the stats real quick. In 5 games, right, just in 5 games, Aiden Hutchinson had 7.5 sacks and a forced fumble. He had more sacks than games than he played in. He got over 1 sack per game. He also had a forced fumble in just those 5 games. I don't know any other defensive lineman that can do that. He was on pace to literally have the best defensive lineman season of all time. And honestly, I thought he was going to do it if he only didn't get injured. And he has already recovered from that injury, even though it was a pretty big one. And I just hope that we can keep seeing prime Aiden Hutchinson, as he is young, he is disruptive, and he can kill any single lineman or quarterback or running back or receiver, anybody to ever play the game of football. To end off this video, I'm going to finalize with the Los Angeles Rams. And honestly, this was a little bit of a hard choice just because of how powerful their offense is, but I ended up choosing Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is very, very young. He was drafted in, I believe, the 5th round, and ever since he entered the league, he has been unstoppable. Puka Nacua has some of the best hands I've ever seen by somebody. Sometimes he doesn't even wear gloves, and when he doesn't wear gloves, he still makes the big catches. He can reel in just about any ball that is within an arm's length of him, which is absolutely unbelievable. He's also one of the most aggressive players I've seen. He is not afraid to try and truck you over, try and juke you out, try and do something to get those few extra yards that in the end game are really going to win you the game. And I think that he's one of the reasons that the Rams were able to rebuild so fast, because they were able to get a destructive wide receiver 2 and now a wide receiver 1 in only a few years. They only had one real year of badness, and it's because of the Puka Nacua madness. And with that rhyme, I'm going to leave off the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. Tell me whatever people I missed in the comments, because I know I definitely missed a few. There were some that took a lot of decision, but this took me a while, so please be sure to show your support, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. And next year, we'll do this again. Goodbye.